Hi, we'll do some introductions first. My name's Deborah Rowberry and I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of Nursing, College of Human and Health Science.
And my name's Nicola Henwood and I'm one of the lecturers in the same department.
We are going to just give a small discussion on what we have in the department called the Lighthouse Club. So the university centrally has a very good system for peer mentoring, and it works very well for a lot of the different colleges and departments. We looked at implementing that some time ago and found that actually in the format and framework that it has, it didn't meet the needs of our student population because of placements and various other reasons. We have two wonderful colleagues in student services, Kelly and Shelley, and they actually came up with a variance of the peer mentoring called the Buddy Scheme. The Buddy Scheme is actually designed to support students in practice, in their clinical practice when they're out in their various nursing fields. They have some initial training, they know how to contact each other, and it's a peer mentoring support system.
So from there, the Lighthouse, we realised that our students needed something a little bit more. We're aware that they were going to the appropriate channels, they were going and accessing student support services, but sometimes there were interventions that we could have put in place much earlier on to prevent these problems escalating. So between us, we'd had discussions, and the same sort of problems were coming up between students throughout year groups. So we thought, well, wouldn't it be great if we could get everyone together to potentially discuss these things and work out ways to move forward. Everyone's quite stressed, so it was important for us that we recognised that all the stress was valid, whether it was about quite a small, insignificant focus or really, really big life events. So the purpose of the Lighthouse was that we could create a safe space for all students to come together, regardless of whether they identified an issue, a thing, a focus, or whether they just wanted to have a little bit of time and space with colleagues. So it's populated across all their timetables as an optional session, so all students are aware of it. And it's led by the pair of us at lunchtimes. And it's a really good opportunity for us all to get together. We've brought proven stress relieving activities for them to engage in, because we know that it's important that this can be replicated. So sometimes it's been things that we've recognised, actually this needs a referral on, or we need to support the students to access other services. And sometimes we've been able to create links with students, or well, they've created the links themselves, the peer support really, where they've been able to support each other and help each other with university issues, placement issues, or life issues. So that's basically the premise of the Lighthouse. It's a weekly optional session that students are really engaged with really well across all year groups and across the three fields of adult mental health and child nursing.
It runs in a very informal way, so that's a bit of a background as to why we do it, but actually what do we do? So each lunchtime, we try and make it, even though we have structure, we try and make it feel as informal as we possibly can. So we're quite creative, and in order to do that we came up with some creative ways. Some have worked, some have not. So I'll talk through a little bit about what we actually started with. We have tried various therapies. We're not therapists,
no.
Hence the air quotes, but we've tried various therapies. And some obviously have a lot more evidence base than others. So we've tried adult colouring, we've tried crafts, knitting, crochet, painting, we've tried walking therapy, we even tried pet therapy once on a very low level with one of our colleagues, guinea pigs and dogs. We've tried something called button therapy, and that's a fairly technical skill. We've had walks in the parks. We've done various other things. Some of them didn't always work, and neither did the structure. So things that we found kind of took us by surprise a little bit more than we anticipated. First of all was the pet therapy. We didn't anticipate particularly allergies we thought of. We didn't anticipate fear of animals. So even though we had what we thought were quite low level, quite easily interactable.
Not intimidating
No.
animals.
The guinea pigs weren't huge and the dog was very small, but actually it did cause some problems. And also you have to understand that guinea pigs do make a little bit of a mess, either whether that's with the straw on the floor, or one time they did actually pee on a student's lap.
Who accepted it very well.
She did. And we still talk about it to this day. So we actually felt that the pet therapy in its form was not useful, it wasn't beneficial and may put students off as opposed to anything else. And given that it is in our own time and in lunch times, it was taking a lot to set up. So now we do something similar, but we actually go for a walk in the park, and depending on the mood of the geese and the swans on the day, we do actually feed them and maybe interact a little bit with them or not. We also found that even though we are experienced in being able to structure the conversations and use models in order to maybe debrief, that the sessions ran on at various times. Luckily for us, we had time to do that after, but had we been teaching or had we had other commitments, that might have been more problematic than it actually was. So we've taken that on board and we've taken it back. We now have a very, although the students don't realise it, we have a very rigid debriefing structure, whereby if students are starting to disclose things that are sensitive to them or upsetting, that time-wise we keep an eye on when we start our debriefing to make sure that when they leave that they're actually okay and we haven't caused any more harm than we anticipated.
The aim is always that they're leaving Lighthouse better than when they came in.
Yeah.
And quite often students have come with they're not quite sure of what they want from it.
Yes.
We've just come to see what this is, it's on my timetable, I'm not quite sure what it is, and the intrigue has sort of got them in through the door, and then they've said, oh, there's nothing wrong, I'm fine, everything's great, yet still spent the entire hour with us doing whatever we're doing, so whether it's a craft activity or what else, and then leaving saying, oh, that was nice, I'll come back. So chipping away then at the sort of things, the life stresses that sort of catch us all by surprise sometimes.
And we've had as few as one for a session, and we've had as many as, I think it was about 24 the maximum, so almost one small group from a cohort, and they all work equally well as long as you're prepared, as long as we're prepared to have a plan in place for however many come, because we don't know that prior. Then actually you can work it with one and it doesn't feel like a counselling session, or you can work it with 24, and that was probably one of the most creative ones we had.
We had all of the things happening at the same time.
And loud music and anything else that...
bit of music therapy.
Yeah, that de-stressed them. So we are finding that it is very popular, and the students are turning up regularly. So some students we see very frequently, some students we see regularly, whether they may be on a day off or whether they may be on a reading week or study day, and they'll still come in. And we do then still have the students that will contact us before just to make sure that it's going ahead. So it has given them definitely something that is useful and something that they look forward to, and is helping them either as a one-off, as Nicola said, or steadily then over the weeks. And we've definitely been, I'll rephrase that. You've definitely been more creative with the sessions that we offer. And it's not necessarily about the activity, but the activity helps you formulate some structure and then some distraction if you need it. So we still do the knitting, we still do crochet for those who want to do it, we still do adult colouring. The buttons never fail, and it is literally a box of buttons, and the students sort them.
Yeah. So repetitive activity helps to calm your brain. It gives you focus and it gives you something to do and concentrate on, rather than the sort of washing machine of thoughts that are constantly sort of whirring around. And our students have got lots of responsibilities. They are students here, and we're telling them, university has to be a priority, but then home is telling them the same thing, and their job, and they have all of these conflicting messages. They're very busy, all students, all people. So having an opportunity to sort the buttons with no further instruction, so then some will sort them by size or colour or shape, or these had 3 holes, these had 5 holes. And initially everyone's quite reticent, they're like, I don't know about this. But then it's quite, well, you've sorted your ones wrong. And it's a lovely all ability activity. There's no sort of You don't have to be able to colour in the lines. You don't need to be able to go for a walk through the park. It's really accessible to everyone.
And you don't, if you're a staff member and you want to think about doing something like this, you don't need a huge amount of input or cash. We have actually had some now from our department, very minimal, and it was to purchase some jigsaws. But the rest is literally things we had lying around or things that we could just do that actually cost nothing at all. And that was actually part, one of the driving forces that kept it going. If it relied on resources, then maybe it wouldn't be as successful as it is, but luckily at the moment it doesn't. And at the sales conference, the staff were really, really happy with the buttons. So we have discussed this once before at the sales conference in the university recently this year, and all members of staff, so there was some painting going on. I'm just going to point out the lighthouse. This was actually done by university staff.
Thank you to all our colleagues.
Yes, thank you very much. It was a really creative day, and so it's definitely, if you have that capability or you have that capacity rather, and you have some extra time, it's definitely worth a try.
I would definitely say, if you're thinking about it, if you've noticed that there is a need for something similar in your area, I think it's definitely something to just go for. We've learned heaps since we've started, and it's been evolving and changing to fit the needs of our students, because we came at it with our idea and it's been shaped and moulded by what they've needed. So if anyone wants to give it a go, definitely get in touch with us if you'd like. We're more than happy to share our ideas and the things that we've done, the things that have worked, the things that haven't. Because ultimately, if our students are happier, they're going to perform better, everything works better for us. But it's a happier environment for us to work in if everyone is just a little bit more, just a little bit less stressed.
Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you.